like it's been so long since I've done like a little talk through tutorial, updated you guys on like some of my favorite products. So let's just dive right in and do some makeup. I don't generally struggle with acne, but I do have usually like 1 or 2 pimples that pop up around my time of the month. This one wasn't too bad. This one was a beast though, like super swollen and painful. These mighty patches that I have on right now are miracle workers. It was super swollen. The minute I put it on, it started going down. I woke up this morning and I put another one on just to try to fully get rid of it. You'll see there's just like a little bit of redness left, but you can easily cover that with makeup. Swelling, you can't. So 10 out of 10 recommend. If you're looking to like quickly eliminate a pimple, these are the best. Hero's the brand and they're called the Mighty Patch. We're gonna start off with the brows. I am ride or die for the Anastasia Brow Freeze. I'm just back combing, making sure these brow hairs are fully saturated, and then brushing them in place. Coating them as much as I just did looks somewhat excessive, but it really does make a huge difference in keeping them in place. Next, we're gonna use the Lift and Snatch Brow Pen by NYX. This is my favorite brow pen. It's really affordable. I think it's like $10. And I think it's honestly just as good as the ones that you can find that are like higher end brands. I always start on the inner corner and just flip the wrist. Always make sure that your brow gel has fully dried on your eyebrows before going in with the brow pen. If you go in when it's a little wet still, it'll coat the brow pen with the gel and it just makes it so much harder to apply. Then from there, I am just going to start drawing the tail of my brow. I'm just basically slowly drawing fake hair strokes. There is a small spot right here that I need to shave off that I missed. That's it. That's literally how I do my brows. I don't use any other products. I clearly shave the tails of my brows off as well. It's just because I like the really lifted look. We're gonna start with my lids. I'm going to prime them using the Makeup Revolution Super Base. It's a pretty good eye base. It's just nice and light. I'm gonna put it over my entire lid. I know I was just using my finger at first. Honestly, every time I try to do that, I end up just grabbing a brush because personally, I just think it goes on a lot more even with the brush. The Morphe Abby Roberts palette has been like my absolute fave. It's got a bunch of colorful shades along with some neutrals. And I'm gonna start off with the shade Pink Champagne on the palette. And I'm just going to tap off the excess and start putting it in my crease. Picking up only a little bit at a time. I think the biggest mistake that a lot of people make doing eyeshadow is putting on a lot at one time. The less the better, and you can just slowly build. You see how it started very opaque and I'm just slowly picking up more and more color and slowly blending. This is gonna avoid any kind of harsh lines or obvious places where you initially applied the eyeshadow and just make everything look really soft and blended. Just using the excess pigment on the brush, I just brush inward towards the bridge of my nose. Next, using the same brush, I'm just using like a really fluffy brush. I'm going to take the shade 2020. It's a purple shade. Once again, hit the excess pigment off, and I'm gonna start building this in my outer crease. I'm just taking the little bit of excess and building upwards a little bit just to blend into the shade that we already used before this. I'm also just blending this shade just a little bit inward. Again, I'm not picking up new pigment. I'm just using what was the excess on the brush and just blending it towards my nose. Now, using a brush, taking the smallest bit of primer, I'm not gonna create like a full-blown 2016 cut crease. I'm just gonna go ahead and just pat a little bit on the inner corners of my eyes. This is just to refresh the base for the color I'm about to put on. I'm gonna use a pretty light shade. And to cover that, I'm going to take the shade Nahhh, and I'm just gonna cover pretty much the whole inner corner. And then taking this like iridescent-y shade called Starlet, I'm going to put this on top just to give it a little more of a shimmery pop. Then just to add a little bit more dimension and depth to the outer corner, I'm taking the shade Ultraviolet. It's So the dark is purple, and I'm just gonna build a little bit of pigment right in the outer corner. And once the pigment's pretty much no more on the brush, I'm just blending the outer corner, blending a little bit on the actual lid as well. And then using the shade Starlet, again, I'm just putting a little bit on my brow bone to give a little pop of highlight. I'm a diehard fan of the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. I have the little size right now, and it's unfortunately it's empty. Let me just pick that up. Yeah, so it is empty. I have another one coming to me in the mail, so we're gonna use my second one. What is wrong with me? I also forgot we need to take this off. I moved not too long ago and have not organized any of my makeup still. So we have a mini size, I have a larger size somewhere, but Milk's Hydrogrip Primer is pretty much my second favorite primer. I think it's pretty commonly popular. Everybody likes the Hydrogrip Primer. I'm just gonna use a little bit of green to color correct the acne on my chin. Get rid of that redness. I'll cover up the green in just a second using foundation, but first we're going to do a little bit of underpainting, which is using cream products underneath your foundation. Many makeup artists have used this technique for years, but it's become pretty viral and just trendy to underpaint. So I'm going to start off with the Fenty Beauty Matchsticks in Amber. I never apply directly to my face anymore when I go to apply cream products. I always use either the back of my hand as a palette, or I just use a brush and just like pick up the product from the actual product itself versus drawing it on my face. It just makes it so that you don't put product too heavily in one place. It's a little more easy to control, and just basically putting it underneath my cheekbone, and then I blend it upwards, and then just a little bit also on my jawline. For bronzer, I'm using the Fenty Beauty Cream Bronzer in Butta Biscuit. For this one, what I'll do is I just pick up the pigment from the actual little product. I'm just tapping it into my hand just so that it's not too crazy built up with pigment. I just put my bronzer like right above the cheekbone up to like the temple area, and then pull a little bit in right on the sides of each side of my nose. And then using the Pixie On The Glow blush, I'm going to just do the same thing, put some on the back of my hand since it's also a cream product. Just tapping this product in right on my cheekbones upward. I want this to be a nice soft spring look, so I'm gonna soften the front of my face using the blush and putting it a little over my nose. I'm gonna spray what I've done so far. I have been obsessed with the Fenty Beauty Eaze Drop Blurring Skin Tint. I use the shade 2. It's been my favorite tinted moisturizer lately. I'm just going to put a little bit on the back of my hand. I promise I cleaned what was on the back of my hand before doing this. And I'm just picking up some product on the brush. I personally like to apply my foundations or even tinted moisturizers with a brush and just press it in. And with the underpainting, you can see we're covering it up with the tinted moisturizer, but you could still see it peeking through a little bit. So it doesn't give you that really harsh contour or harsh bronzed look. And of course, the concealer of all concealers, I swear by the Kosas Revealer Concealer. I've never used a better concealer in my life. I'm obsessed with this. Instead of applying it to my face, I do apply it to my face a lot, but the best way to apply concealer is not to put the product on your face directly, but to instead pick some up from your brush and just apply that way. Causes way less creasing, gives you way more control, and you can really focus on the areas that need the most concealing. For me, it's definitely the inner corner right here. To set my under eyes, I'm going to use the Jaclyn Hill Brightening Lilac Under Eye Powder. This has been my favorite brightening powder for under my eyes recently, and I'm going to use one of these little powder puffs that have gone viral and that everybody is using. Pick up the powder, press it in. You don't want a bunch of excess powder sitting on top and being like basically dragged along. Just simply press in. Look how much more bright it looks on this side compared to this side. The key though is just not applying too much product all at one time. The powder puff, if you press it in like this, it will press the powder into the puff and make for amazing application. I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Blush Trio, the Pink Passion Blush Trio. We're gonna use the center shade, Pink Passion, and just enhance the cream blush with powder blush. I'm also just going to pull some up a little bit like right up here so that it almost blends in with where the pink eyeshadow is that I blended outward. Now we're gonna finish up my eyes. I know I do my makeup in a really weird order. I thought I had purple eyeliner and I totally forgot that I finished it. So I'm instead gonna use this Nahhh eyeliner. It's called Cupids Arrow. The shade is actually called Arrow number 6. And it's just like a little pencil liner, I think, or it might be like an eyeshadow pencil. I'm not totally positive, but I'm gonna put it under my eyes and then top it with purple eyeshadow, and I think it's gonna work. Top it off using that Ultraviolet shade from the Abby Artistry Morphe palette. I'm just going to put it on top. My under eyes look really dark right now, which I kind of love. I always like a dark under eye. To soften the bottom, I'm gonna take a little bit of the shade 2020 on the palette. I'm just gonna blend all underneath my eye like this. Now, we went a little darker under my eyes than I was expecting, so I'm just gonna go to the top outer corner and I'm adding a little more of that ultraviolet purple shade, the darkest purple, just so that the bottom and the top looks a little more uniform. I'm gonna curl my lashes real fast, but real quick side note, I have been really seriously thinking about starting like a little video series where we discuss reality TV shows while I do my makeup. I'm a reality TV crazy person, especially Bravo shows, so I'm thinking like makeup and Bravo sessions. Sounds really fun. If you watch Vanderpump Rules and have caught up on what's going on with Tom and Raquel, not Tom Schwartz, Tom Sandoval, I just have so much to talk about with this and so many opinions. Team Ariana forever. I won't go into too deep of detail. We'll save that for the videos that I start making, but my gosh, I've been shook for literally days. I'm just putting a little bit of mascara on my top lashes. Then for my bottom lashes, I'm just doing really thin coats. So we'll probably do like 3 coats on my bottom lashes. And for my lashes, I'm using my favorite lashes pretty much I think of all time. They're the Ardell Studio Effects lashes in Demi WIspies. They're super similar somewhat to the normal Demi WIspies by Ardell. The Studio Effects one are just a little more intense. I've been using the Callus eyelash adhesive, I'd say for probably close to 8 years. I literally never stray away from it. This is my favorite eyelash glue. It holds up throughout the day. I'm just kind of tapping my natural lashes to the falsies because I'm not trying to build a bunch of mascara on the falsies. I'm just simply trying to meet the two. And for my lips, we're gonna use my favorite Fenty Beauty Stunna lip paint shade in the shade Uncuffed. This is also just one of my all-time favorite liquid lipsticks. I overline in the center middle, like that. And I'm gonna just almost like bring the overline down as I get closer to the inner corner. I'm gonna top it off with the Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb Cream in the shade Mauve Wives. Now let me just do my hair and change my shirt. Ugh. I am definitely going to continue to create a lot more of these kinds of talk through video tutorials. Let me know if you try any of the products that I used. I will be sure to tag all of them down in the comments below. And also send me recommendations if there's any specific kind of makeup tutorial you'd like to see, or if there's a certain show you want to talk about. Specifically Bravo shows, I watch almost like every one of them. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.